Hi everyone, my name is Jenny, and in today's Q&A, I'm answering your questions from Instagram and from YouTube. So let's start right away with the first one. Having a portfolio at 3 ADs, is that bad? So what this person means, for anyone who's new to this, when you go to an authorized dealer, or like AD for short, you can let them know what kind of watches you want for like bigger brands like Rolex, for example. And you won't be able to get them right away for the most part. They will have to order them, or, have to make sure that they have it in stock. And if you're a good client or good customer, they will allocate you certain watches and you sometimes have to wait for them. So it is, I would say, not a bad thing to have a portfolio at 3 ADs. That way you will just increase your chances. As I said, be transparent about it. And I don't see why this is not a good idea, because at the end of the day, it's your money. You decide and choose where to spend it. And if one AD is being quicker with providing you what you want, then you should go to that one. Simple as that. When to change out a leather strap? I've been getting a lot of questions about leather straps recently. I guess it's because, the summertime and straps might get wet from sweating or going to the beach or whatever, which, number one, please do not take your leather strap watch swimming. That will ruin your strap for sure. And then I would highly advise you to change it out. I would change a leather strap if it starts to look a bit dirty. I don't really like the built up dirty look on leather straps. So if it's getting too dirty, I would change it. If I'm seeing any kind of structural damage to it that could potentially lead me to lose my watch, get rid of it. I would say the best thing is keep 2 good leather straps and exchange them from time to time, so they don't end up getting completely trashed. So you kind of wear them out equally and it always looks nice. But yeah, I would frequently change out the leather strap. Perhaps if I'm taking good care of a watch, every 5 to 6 years maybe, depending on the wear. But when the holes are starting to get worn out, that's also not very pleasant. So yeah, I think 5 to 6 years is a good amount of time. What is the cleanest, most minimalist dial in your opinion? Probably the Vanta Black from Moza. I will put up a picture right here on the screen. That is, to me, as minimal as it gets without being too gimmicky, because it's just a black dial with an hour and a minute hand. That is very minimalist to me. That would be the cleanest in my opinion. And it's a great watch. It's Vanta Black, for those of you who don't know, it's the most blackest paint, or the most blackest black that is available right now on the market. I've seen that one in real life, the Vanta Black. It doesn't come off as great on film, but if you see this one in real life, you feel like you're actually staring into a black hole. It is amazing. There's no light coming back whatsoever. It's pretty cool. Ooh, hot take. How close are we to Tudor being overhyped? Also, another question I get quite a lot. People are starting to get a bit, annoyed by Tudor, it seems. How close we are to it being overhyped? I think we are seeing the start of it for some people. Perhaps it's because they're doing a lot of fan service, and that might be putting off for some people, but I don't mind it. I think they're still very much holding the balance here between offering people what they want and still coming up with something new and unexpected. But yeah, I think we are now past the Black Bay 58s in the different colors and materials. We've got the GMT now, so I think it's time now for Tuda to step up the game again and maybe surprise us even more with the launches next year. We'll see about that. If you want to have your question answered next, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I post daily Q&As, and also make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, where I post on my community tab whenever I'm doing another Q&A here. So make sure to be subscribed and follow me on Instagram. Do you consider mass-produced watches real watchmaking? If so, why? Yeah, I do. Absolutely, I do. I don't think that being mass-produced negates the fact that it is real watchmaking, because to me, real watchmaking is when a brand, let's put it that way, is purely focused on making watches. And I am also including Cartier here. I know they're a jeweler too, or Bulgari, but their watch department is so, how do you say that, developed and fleshed out. That to me is real watchmaking. Doesn't matter if it's mass produced. I don't think it takes away from the fact. Of course, it is more refined if it's manually put together. and that should reflect the price as well. So yes, I do consider mass-produced watches with watchmaking, and I would like to throw the question back to you guys watching this. Do you consider that real watchmaking? And if so, why? And if not, why not? I would be very interested to hear your thoughts on this. Our small wristwatches for men with small wrist help me find stuff. Well, I will recommend you my video about small watches for, small wrist. I will put it up here and in my description box down below. There are by now lots and lots of brands who have started to come out with smaller watches, which I'm very happy about, or just having, smaller alternatives to the very popular models. I mean, you've got a very one of my favorite examples is the Murph from Hamilton that is now available in a 38. Then you've got Speedmasters from Omega in a 38mm diameter that works quite well. You can opt for smaller Oyster Perpetuals from Rolex if you like. There's lots and lots of different options out there, and as I said, I recommend watching my video on this, so you will have a little bit of a selection right there if you're interested in that. But wants to know, is the Explorer a good starter watch and daily wear? Yes, absolutely. I think the Explorer is a great option for an everyday kind of watch. I would go for the 36mm. I think that one wears best. I think it's just the Oyster case in that size that really is speaking to me. That is such a good choice, and yeah, well done. Next one is suggestions for those at the beginning of the journey, how to work with ADs. So if you're just wanting to start out with watches and you're unsure where to start and you just want to head into an AD, that's authorized dealer for short, and just look at some watches, don't worry about that. I know we're hearing lots of horror stories, but for the most part, people are nice. If you're being nice just with everything in the world, I would do it like this. So first off, pick an AD that is close to you, that you like the look of it. Then, I don't know, take 2 to 3 hours, head inside. Maybe don't go on a busy day, like on the weekends. Choose a not so busy time, head in there and be like, hey, you guys, I'm very into watches. I'm very interested. May I try on some watches and see what you got in stock? 99% of the time, they will be so happy about that. They will be very friendly. They should, offer you to sit down. And then you can just, without the pressure of having to buy something, try on watches. And, let them know. You could that's totally fine telling them, hey, listen, I'm just here to try on watches today. I'm not going to buy anything, but, I'm trying to see what's out there, what fits me. And maybe you could help me pick something that could work for my wrist. They love to help. And if you're letting them help you and giving them a chance to do so, they'll be more than happy to do that. And just start out that way. And if you're feeling comfortable in that place, you can start thinking about maybe if you want to buy there. If you don't feel so comfortable for whatever reason, maybe pick a different AD and start over. So, just be transparent. There's no pressure if you let them know, beforehand what your intentions are. And that should be absolutely fine. And I would start the journey like this. If I had to do it over, I would totally start like that. Right, and we're going to switch over to your questions here on YouTube on my community tab. Silicone balance springs, just as reliable and durable as traditional hairsprings. I remember when they first came out, people were skeptical on their durability. Well, since the patent for silicone hairsprings, I think it ran out 2 years ago. I think we're well past the time where we could not be sure about the durability. It is proven now that silicone hairsprings are durable. There's so many more advantages to the regular metal ones. They are heat resistant, they're anti-magnetic, they're much easier to foam. You can choose the thickness in certain areas, whereas it's much more difficult to do that with a metal hairspring. The only thing that I see might be causing problems is that maybe in 10, 15 years time, when you would need spare parts, that they might not be as readily available for your older watches that still use the metal springs, because there's a mass production of the silicone ones. But other than that, I don't think there's anything to worry about this. And I haven't heard anything. If you guys, if anyone out there has something about silicone hairsprings that is not a good thing, let me know in the comments down below. But so far, I think they are just as reliable and even more durable than the traditional ones. And I mean, Patek is using them, Rolex is using them since I think 2014 or something. You've got them in Omega watches, so I think it's absolutely fine. Right, next one says, I like to buy a birth year watch, but I'm not into vintage watches and don't want to spend too much. How would you decide which one to buy? So I guess you're deciding to buy between, or or like you're unsure if you want to still go for like a vintage birthday or if you know, want to go for something else. Well, see, I get the appeal of a birthday watch. I have one myself. It's from 1991 when I was born. It is a Lady Santos. I love it so much, but I get the hesitance towards vintage watches. And if that really is not your cup of tea, don't go for it. I know birthday watches are such a nice thing, but how about you just treat yourself to something to remember, you know, your life that you really enjoy, and just go for that. And you know, you can always have the option to just engrave something nice into it, maybe a quote that speaks to you, that makes it more personal. Because I mean, a birthday watch really is something very personal. But you know, just personalize your watch that you want to wear that is not vintage, and give it your own little like spin on it, and make that your life watch. Like, you know, let's not call it a birthday watch, just like your life watch. And you can celebrate yourself in that way. What was once important to you in your watch collection philosophy that is now not important at all? What would you have done differently? That is such a nice question. Thank you so much for this one. You know, I think in the beginning, I mean, it's not that long ago. It's not like I've been in this for like 20 years. But a couple of years ago, I remember how I was very much into, like, whenever something new came out, I was hooked. Like immediately. I mean, the best example is me getting the upcycle, the Rolex Explorer upcycle in 36, a day or two after it was been released. And I was like jumping on this. In hindsight, perhaps it would have been smarter to just wait a bit and see if I really, really, really wanted to spend that money. But that has, I think, changed a lot. I am now a bit more hesitant when something new comes out. I'm trying to wait until like the newness and the excitement around that wears off and see if I still really much like it for the watch that it is, or if I was just drawn to the appeal of something new, which I think is just a very human thing. But that thing has changed for sure. And I would like to hear from you guys in the comments. Is there something that you, in your watch collection philosophy, have you seen a change in that? And if so, what was it? Because I feel like that's something that a lot of people go through, the phase where you are so hooked onto like new things, and then you're like, okay, wait, I can't keep on spending on new stuff. I need to reflect and sit back and see what else I got, and not be this like super jumpy person. Hey Jenny, is it worth to buy a Tissot Sisa instead of a higher priced Rolex Explorer? They look a bit the same, but in hope that you can wear it instead of getting robbed for a Rolex watch. I would say no. I don't think that's the best justification for buying this watch instead of what seems like the one that you actually want. I get it, in some places it's maybe not the smartest idea to wear your expensive watch out and about, but I wouldn't then go for like spend the money on something that is just looking almost the same but is not the one thing that I actually want. Because I don't know, maybe like, listen, perhaps the robber is mistaking your Tissot for a Submariner and still going to rob you, and then you've made yourself a target anyway. So I would just say avoid your watches, or to wear your watches in higher risk areas, but don't just buy something different because of that. I wouldn't do this. And that is it for my Q&A of the month. Thank you guys so much for sending in your questions here on YouTube and on Instagram. If you want to have your question answered, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I do almost daily my Q&As there, so you can send in your questions here, or just, you know, subscribe to my channel and look out for my post on the community tab when I ask you guys for your questions for my next YouTube video. And yeah, that is all I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching this. If you have enjoyed it, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.